first way I describe myself is as a match-ship musician. In other words, I feel that I have a specific sensibility that I try to portray when I play or create an album, and that's what I do. So when I play, I'm trying to generate the space-time of the way my DNA sees the universe, and that's what my music is an outgrowth of, period. It's just something so innate about having ivory that you push down with your hands and creating harmonies and melodies. I mean, there's just something about it that I don't think can ever escape. The human need to play the piano will always be there. But what's really fascinating about piano now is that whenever a piano does collide with technology, it makes for a lot of interesting mutations and permutations. Now, I don't really look at the piano as being finite. I mean, I think a piano, in and of itself, theoretically has infinite possibilities. And I do usually compose at the piano because I'm a pianist, and my whole, even when composing for other instruments, my whole way of dealing with organizing music is from a pianist perspective. When I get there, I have ideas floating around a lot of times, but I can't really focus them until I get to the piano, to focus them in the way that I want to focus them as a pianist. I think the perception in the public mind is that the golden age of jazz was something that happened. And I think the Ken Burns movie or TV special, I never watched it. I watched about 10 minutes of it. Did kind of was the apotheosis of that idea that the jazz golden age was something that happened and ended with Miles Davis. If people still consider jazz as something that exists, that perception will go away, or maybe stuff that's being done now will be considered just as important. But as far as being an artist and defining or not defining yourself as a jazz artist, to me, at the end of the day, the only thing that's important is channeling the electricity of the cosmos. I mean, there's the cosmos, and then there's society. And the cosmos is all energy, it's all information, and that's the music. And within society, there's definitions, there's ways of selling the product, and there's ways of patronizing the product. There's categories to put it in. There's social categories. If you're in this category, you make more money than this category. If you're in this category, you get more sort of prestige in certain ways in this category. But all of that has nothing to do with actually channeling the phrase of the music. And for me to say that I just want to channel the phrase of the music and leave the rest of it up to everybody else is kind of not true, because I'm very cognizant of how, for instance, I'm perceived, and I'm actually involved with manipulating how I'm perceived. So I'm very aware, hyper aware, uber aware of all the politics in the music industry, the record industry, and all that. If somebody just took something in mind and sampled it in some way, I mean, I want some money. I mean, look, I live in this one-room apartment, man. I mean, I don't really own anything. I live in an apartment. I don't own nothing. I own this computer, and a TV. I mean, I don't. That's all I ask. Don't do what the Beastie Boys did to James Newton or whatever. I mean, like, well, I mean, what are they? How do they expect people to make music if they don't? I mean, but just think, if people keep downloading for free, and then the whole music industry collapses, and nobody can make recordings because there's no way to, to pay a bill for a record company because everybody gets stuff for free. Then the whole thing just ends. I mean, where do people think it's going to go? You're going to get a product. You have to patronize the people that make it. It's pretty simple. Well, you got to be like a spoiled brat and think elsewise. Like, stuff just exists for free for you without. It costs money. It costs money to get your kids piano lessons so they can learn music. The whole thing is supported by people exchanging cash. So, I mean, the idea of free downloads is retarded. And the obvious priorities in this country are to make money, and then to make more money, and then make more and more money. So it's not like you can have $10 million and be happy. If you got 10 million, you got to have 20 million. If you're a pharmaceutical company and you have $50 billion, you got to have $100 billion. So obviously, all the priorities are skewed in this country, and therefore it makes the idea of like playing jazz and getting appreciated and compensated for that, a moot point when you have people that work full-time jobs that can't even afford to get sick. So you gotta just keep it in context. But I feel that it's unfortunate that there's not more of an avenue created in this country for jazz artists to be of more use to the society. I mean, that's why American jazz musicians have to go to Europe to make a living, because at least there's a tradition there of like people touring and actually playing music and getting paid for it. And there's government programs to make sure that certain clubs and performance venues can stay open. And I just find it interesting that this country seems to only care about making more money, period.
Look forward, look back, look around, yo, look us down. I'm telling you, squat down. This is that powerful music.
I find when hip hop first came out, actually, when some of the really early hip hop albums started, I was working at a record store in Wilmington, Delaware, my hometown, and I'm thinking now around 79, 80 maybe. I can't remember what year. I thought it was barbaric. I remember we used to make fun of like all these kids. They would come in and buy the singles, and we would just look at each other and shake our heads, And I remember thinking, there's no way this is gonna last either. Boy, was I wrong. Like, for instance, one time this kid came in and he looked at me. He goes, "I want instant funk, right?" I was like, "What?" "I want instant funk." So I went and I looked and I found a Trouble Funk record. And I couldn't find instant. And I said, "Is this what you want?" He goes, "This is Trouble Funk. I want instant funk." And he threw it back at me. Right? So, I just like stood there shaking my head. And I remember like the other people that worked at the store, we were like, this is like barbaric. And I kind of like, right when I first started seeing some breakdancing, and I don't remember what I heard, but I remember one day I was like, I think this stuff is actually kind of revolutionary. But anyway, I just find it. I mean, hip hop obviously is all over society now, and it's like the prevalent thing in society and the music industry. In fact, I would say a lot of jazz musicians actually see hip hop as new jazz, but they just play jazz and they don't, they don't have the know-how to make a hip hop album. And I think there is very few young jazz musicians that see hip hop as something barbaric. I mean, you leave that up to Wynton Marsalis and Stanley Crouch, who, obviously have their quote prestige as, how could I put this, uptown type of musicians and personality to keep in mind, and something viable like hip hop would obviously be a threat to them. But when something as big as hip hop, when it's as big as it is, you gotta like really look at it and say, well, obviously it's saying something to somebody. You have to try to figure out what that is. I mean, it's not a mistake that everybody likes it. They like it for some reason. It's obviously speaking to something.